You don't have to be exposed to radiation or get thrown in a batch of toxic waste to gain superpowers. In fact, becoming a superhero is easier than you think nowadays, thanks to technology. Here are 10 of the bravest people to transform their bodies to gain superpowers. Number 10. Steve Ludwig. Rock singer Steve Ludwig has been injecting himself with snake venom to become immune to snake bites and save thousands of human lives at the same time. A normal person would end up dead if injected with snake venom, but not Steve Ludwig. He's 51 and in perfect health. He's been doing this for 30 years because he believes he can develop a superhuman immune system. And it's working. Ludwig's currently working to develop a human-derived antivenom that might save thousands of human and animal lives. How noble is that? A team of researchers at the University of Copenhagen are trying to complete an artificial library of copies of antibodies derived from his blood to target venom from over 35 snake species. Their further research in developing different antivenoms will help save lives. Number 9. Stellark. This Cypriot performance artist attached an ear to his arm. He's focused on extending the limits of the human body, and the third ear is one of his most popular projects. When he came up with this bizarre idea, unsurprisingly, he wasn't able to find doctors who would face the challenge. But in 2007, he finally did. Stellark had a cell-cultivated ear surgically attached to his left arm. He claims this third ear isn't for himself, but for the world. He wants to share experiences with people around the globe, so he claims the next step for him is attaching a wireless microphone into it, so that anyone can tune in to his days, eavesdropping at any and all times. Who needs privacy anyway? Apparently, he already tested out a microphone, but developed an infection which put an end to the otherwise successful trial. In the near future, he even plans to apply a GPS tracker so people can follow his movements 24/7. Number 8. Livio Babbitt. Are you envious of the fact that birds can sense Earth's electromagnetic field, but we can't? Well, Livio Babbitt certainly is. So much so that he's actually created a small matchbox-sized silicone gadget that's attached to his chest via 2 titanium bars. The device is essentially a microchip with lots of electronics, including a compass and Bluetooth connectivity. This gives him a navigational superpower, the North Sense, meaning he can literally feel north. How this is done is extremely clever. As he faces north, the device vibrates, similar to how your phone vibrates when you get a text. It's all about creating new human senses. If some animals can already sense north, why shouldn't we be able to? Sure, you could just get a compass, but that's not the point. This could be the start of an entirely inbuilt navigation system. Think about it. We all wander about the streets looking at our phones without taking in our surroundings. Imagine how helpful it would be if devices could direct us instead. We could navigate the world like a bird, knowing exactly where to go all the time. Perhaps this could be linked to the virtual reality world or our friends on social media. Livio explains that there's an entire universe around us that we don't perceive. For example, radiation, X-rays, infrared, and ultraviolet, as well as the electromagnetic field of the planet. Devices like this give us new senses to become aware of our environment. Number 7. Wim Hof. While people who want to climb Mount Everest must dress properly to prevent freezing to death, the Dutch extreme athlete Wim Hof is able to withstand the extreme cold while wearing only shorts. You heard me right. Known as the Iceman, Hof is famous for his breathing technique known as the Wim Hof method that has allowed him to perform these incredible tricks. Spurred on by a spontaneous jump into ice water when he was 17 years old, Hof described the moment as one of extreme connection to his physiology and consciousness. From then on, he started to develop a unique breathing pattern to control his mind and body temperature. Hof claims this method can be used to treat multiple illnesses, such as clinical depression, arthritis, and multiple sclerosis. And though it sounds far-fetched, the science is trying to keep up. Journalists before have tried to debunk his methods, but ended up learning his techniques instead. Hof holds 26 world records, including one for the longest ice bath. Amazingly, he's able to withstand freezing cold water for over 2 hours. He also proved his climbing power by climbing 6,700 meters or 22,000 feet of Mount Everest, wearing only shoes and shorts. Though he didn't summit due to a recurring foot injury, that's nothing short of amazing. Number 6. Neil Harbison. Cyborg artist and trans-species activist, Neil Harbison can hear images and paint sounds. He was the first man to have an antenna implanted in his skull, and also the first legally recognized cyborg by the government. His antenna sends vibrations to his brain in order to report information to him, like phone calls, electromagnetic radiation, music, images, or videos, which are translated into audible vibrations. It's particularly useful since he was born with an extreme form of colorblindness, which results in him seeing things in grayscale. So his antenna has enabled him to effectively see color by hearing them translated into sound through the device. If this doesn't sound dramatic enough for you, get this. He's able to receive data and signals from satellites too. Recently, he upgraded his antenna, so now it's Bluetooth enabled, allowing him to connect to the internet and devices in his vicinity. When asked about what motivated him to look like an anglerfish, Harbison said that everyone has a duty to use modern technology in order to develop senses. He also said that becoming a cyborg isn't an easy thing to do, but a life decision you have to make and learn to live with. It's also an artistic statement, because he's treating his brain and body as a sculpture. Number 5. Tim Cannon. American software developer, biohacker, and entrepreneur, Tim Cannon implanted a device into his arm to monitor his body temperature and blood pressure. But he's no stranger to biohacking since he has RFID tags in his finger, wrist, and tragus. He became the first person in the world to get Circadia, the grindhouse-designed biometric sensor the size of a desk of playing cards that can monitor your temperature, blood pressure, and warn you if you're about to get a fever. After running a few tests by his researchers, the device proved to be a success, but it was removed after a few months. Cannon is currently focused on designing an improved version of the device that will be consumer-friendly and help people around the world keep track of more detailed information like oxygen and glucose levels and heart rate data. In 2015, he had another prototype device implanted into his right arm. It was the size of a coin and contained 5 LED lights that created a luminescence effect when touched by a magnet. The purpose of it was simply aesthetic, perhaps being able to light tattoos, as it could blink about 10,000 times before the battery drained. Number 4. Kevin Warwick. Deputy Vice Chancellor at Coventry University in Britain, Kevin Warwick is known for his studies that focus on communication pathways between the human nervous system and computer systems. One of his most famous pieces of work is the project nicknamed Captain Cyborg, in which he had an RFID transmitter implanted into his arm. Placed under his skin, it allowed him to open doors without touching them, as well as control lights, heaters, and other computer-controlled machines. His work focuses on developing new ways in which our bodies can communicate and interact with each other. For the second stage of the project, he had 2 hours of neurosurgery to implant this spiky device into his nervous system. With it, he's been able to communicate directly with people and objects around the world. In one instance, it was connected to the internet at Columbia University, allowing him to move a robot hand at Reading University in England. When the robot hand grabbed an object, signals were then relayed back to him via the internet so that Kevin could feel how much force the robot hand was applying on another continent. This type of implant could find a new way to treat patients with nervous system damage or simply enhance people's capabilities. Using it, he even learned how to feel the distance of objects in his surroundings through pulses. The plant also allowed him to link his nervous system to his wife's through electrodes, as she had one implanted as well, so that when she moved her hand, his brain received a pulse. In effect, he could telegraphically communicate through nervous systems. The next step, he agrees, is brain-to-brain telepathic type communication. Number 3. Jerry Jilava. A computer programmer from Helsinki, Finland, Jerry Jilava replaced his finger with a USB drive. Apparently, Jilava lost his finger in a motorcycle accident, and while joking with doctors on how to use the empty space, they came up with an extraordinary idea to use it as a USB drive. He is a computer programmer after all. To do it, he built a special prosthetic finger for a 2 GB USB drive that isn't permanently attached to his finger but can be removed when plugged into a device. He says that most people are terrified when they see the prosthetic finger at first, but he's perfectly comfortable with it because to him, it's kind of an amazing upgrade. Number 2. Rob Spence. The one-eyed film producer, Rob Spence lost his right eye in an accident as a child, but instead of grieving over the lost eye, He placed a wireless recording camera eye to fill up the space and impress the entire world with his invention. Known as Eyeborg, his cool eye basically makes him the real-life version of Terminator. Over the years, Spence developed a few versions of the prosthetic eye and accomplished a realistic look with the help of modern technology. The eye can film for half an hour before its battery runs out, but having a wireless eye camera isn't enough for Spence. He recently teamed up with a Polish startup company called the Next Eye Prosthesis, founded by a thriving young ophthalmologist, Marcin Jaworski, in order to create an accessible prosthetic eye for people with the same shortage. It will be a lot cheaper and a much simpler 3D prosthetic eye that everyone can afford. At first, he plans for them to glow red on command and eventually to house video cameras. He plans to sell it with a magnetic ring so that users can make their eyes glow red by placing the ring near their eye. Number 1. Gabriel Escena. Biohacker Gabriel Escena developed a way to gain night vision temporarily. He accomplished this with the help of chlorin E6, a natural, light-sensitive substance which can be found in deep-sea creatures to increase their vision in the darkest parts of the ocean. The substance is quite incredible and has also been used in cancer treatment research over the years and shown to be an effective treatment for night blindness. To see what else it can do, an independent team of self-proclaimed biohackers known as Science for the Masses decided to test how well the substance can improve vision in 2012. They applied eye drops made of a mixture of insulin, CE6, and saline to Escena's eyes. After the experience, Escena said, "It was a quick, greenish-black blur across my vision, and then it dissolved into my eyes." After 2 hours, his vision in low light dramatically increased. They got people to stand in dark woods, to add to the creepy factor, I suppose, and at 50 meters, Escena had a 100% success rate at spotting where people were standing. Apart from turning his eye black, because that was the color of the solution, there were no side effects, so don't worry for Escena, as he's still working on different projects in the fields of microbiology, material sciences, and mammalian cell biology. So what do you think about these transformations? Would you put yourself forward to hack your biology like the people in this video to gain a few cool abilities? Let me know in the comment section down below, and thanks for watching.